No one believed a small neutral nation could shake the world's biggest airpower club. But when Canada quietly tested Sweden's new fighter jet, that's exactly what happened. This wasn't supposed to be a story about surprise. Canada's fighter replacement program was predictable. A North American ally picking another North American jet. The F-35 was the favorite, the inevitable choice. Billions had already been poured into it, pilots were training for it, politicians were defending it. And then, Sweden showed up. A country of 10 million people, with no stealth fleet, no aircraft carriers, no massive defense industry, rolled in with something called the Gripen E. A jet designed not for show, but for survival. Cheap to fly, fast to fix, and built for cold, remote, unforgiving environments, the kind Canada knows too well. At first, it was almost funny. Experts called it a nice idea. Some headlines even mocked it. A Saab against the F-35? Please. But in military history, it's often the underestimated ones that change the game. The story begins with a question. How do you defend a country as vast as Canada when your air bases are scattered across frozen wilderness and your skies stretch from the Atlantic to the Arctic? The Royal Canadian Air Force needed 88 new fighters to replace its aging CF-18 Hornets. The competition drew global attention. The United States pushed its stealthy F-35, Boeing offered upgraded Super Hornets, and then, quietly, Sweden's Saab entered the ring with the Gripen E. On paper, it didn't stand a chance. The Gripen wasn't stealth. It wasn't American. It didn't have Hollywood hype, but it had something else: logic. While others built jets that required floating gas stations and hangars full of computers just to take off, Sweden built one that could launch from a country road, refueled by a handful of soldiers with a pickup truck. In a world of billion-dollar complexity, that simplicity was radical. Critics laughed at the idea of Canada even considering it. They said, Sweden can't support North American operations. They said, it's too small. They said, no way it keeps up with stealth. But quietly, the tests began. Far from cameras, somewhere in the north, Canadian evaluators were shown what the Gripen could really do. It wasn't a glamorous display, no red carpets, no Hollywood soundtrack, just a gray jet slicing through freezing skies, turning tighter, reacting faster, adapting smarter than expected. The Gripen's software-driven architecture, its brain, could be reprogrammed in hours, not weeks. Its sensors could talk seamlessly with ground units and NATO allies, and its Rexus electronic warfare system. That was the moment jaws dropped. Imagine a fighter that can not only hide, but blind its enemy. That's what Gripen did. It didn't need to be invisible to radar, it could jam the radar itself. Suddenly, stealth didn't seem like the only answer. Then came the turning point. During classified evaluation sessions, the Gripen E's performance reportedly shocked observers. In simulated engagements, it detected, identified, and shot before its opponent even realized it was being tracked. And unlike the F-35 now, which record skauavik C, Eurojount, Yerkom Saudikan Dau, Frampo, complex logistical networks, the Gripen operated out of a snow-covered base with minimal support. It was a jet made for isolation, not infrastructure. That caught Canada's attention, because Canada doesn't fight wars next door. Its jets patrol ice, wilderness, and oceans. They don't get to land in warm hangars every few hours. They need reliability more than glamour. And here was a Swedish jet, built for that exact life. Born in the same kind of harsh weather, maintained by conscripts in gloves, launched from roads covered in frost. Suddenly, the Underdog wasn't so small anymore. The real shock came not from its speed or weapons, but its philosophy. The Gripen wasn't built to dominate the world. It was built to give smaller nations a fighting chance in the world. It proved that high performance doesn't always mean high cost. It showed that sovereignty besides bra. Vid sovereign insaber bro, obese spralik spur. Being able to operate and upgrade your jet without foreign permission was a form of power. Saab offered full technology transfer. Canada could build, maintain, and evolve the Gripen at home. No waiting for Washington's green light. No export restrictions. Just freedom. In a geopolitical world where even allies have limits, that was priceless. And when word of those private evaluations spread through defense circles, the reaction was disbelief. Some said it was impossible. Others quietly admitted the Gripen had outperformed expectations. It wasn't a stealth killer, it was a myth killer. Officially, Canada's decision leaned toward the F-35. That's what politics demanded. But unofficially, the Gripen made an impact that rippled far beyond Ottawa. It reminded military planners that you don't need to spend $1 trillion to win. It reminded smaller nations, from Brazil to the Czech Republic to Thailand, that independence is worth designing for. And it reminded superpowers that innovation isn't measured in budget lines. Even within NATO, discussions began shifting. Could more affordable, modular jets extend air power where stealth can't? Could agile, smart fighters fill the gaps giant programs leave behind? Those are questions no one was asking before Sweden entered the stage. In Brazil, Gripen squadrons are already taking flight. In Europe, countries are integrating it with NATO networks, and every test, every mission, every flight hour reinforces the same quiet truth. Sweden's approach worked. While others spent billions on invisible jets, Sweden built one that outsmarted visibility itself. So, what really happened when Canada tested the Swedish Gripen? They saw a different future, one not ruled by cost overruns and endless maintenance, but by practicality, adaptability, and sovereignty. They saw a fighter that fit their geography, their climate, their needs. And maybe, for a brief moment, they saw what defense could look like if decisions were made by pilots, not politicians. The Gripen didn't win the contract, but it won something far more lasting: respect. Respect from test pilots who watched it perform flawlessly in Arctic cold. Respect from engineers who saw its software evolve faster than any rivals. Respect from strategists who realized this jet could be the backbone of nations that can't afford to lose. In the end, it's ironic. The fighter that wasn't supposed to matter ended up changing how everyone thought about air power. Canada's quiet test wasn't just about jets, it was about an idea that maybe the smartest weapon isn't the most expensive one. And while the world keeps chasing stealth and spectacle, somewhere in a frozen hangar, a Swedish jet sits waiting, lean, efficient, ready for the next mission. Because in a sky full of giants, sometimes the smallest wings make the biggest noise. Sweden didn't build the biggest jet. They built the smartest,